Hello and welcome to our very special Christmas edition of Intermission. I am Leo McGuigan.
And I'm Aidan Largey.
And tonight we're going to be running down some of our favourite Christmas movies. Aidan.
Batman Returns. Batman Returns would be one of my favourites.
Okay, why do you like Batman Returns as a Christmas movie?
Well, because it has Batman in it, it's set at Christmas, and I watch it every Christmas.
Do you think Batman Returns qualifies as a sequel that improves upon or matches the original?
Well, it's a lot more Burton-y than Batman was. You know, you can kind of tell Batman made them a lot of money. They stepped off a bit, and Burton made something that was kind of very much a Tim Burton film.
It is one of those sequels that, it doesn't feel like a cash-in. I mean, it feels like another story. I actually think Christopher Nolan did that with Dark Knight Rises. It was not about trying to top what they did before. It was about finding the next and most sort of natural progression. I like Batman Returns almost as much as the first Batman, and I think a lot of that is owed to Danny DeVito as the Penguin, although Christopher Walken is terrifying.
Walken's incredible.
As Max.
And I guess Michelle Pfeiffer's best role.
Yeah.
It's definitely a most iconic role, actually, and even just the design of the costume. But that scene always reminds me of Christmas at the fancy dress ball, where they kind of like both realise they're freaks because they don't know how to interact with each other without their masks. I think that's a really Burton thing to do, and I can see why he liked Returns a lot more than Batman. But I mean, at the time it came out, and there was a lot of complaints from parents to McDonald's, actually, because they were buying the Happy Meals and they were bringing their kids to see this movie. And it was such a dark...
So dark. It's dark. I would venture to say that the second one is darker than the first one. The first one is dark, but there's just always... I mean, I remember watching Batman Returns when I was probably a little bit too young to watch it, but it is... I mean, it is truly like a dark, grim movie. I think it's a darker vision of Batman than even Christopher Nolan's movies managed to
Yeah, it is because of like Burton's obsession with freaks. And I mean, like the thing is, you can almost tell that sometimes Burton had more interest in the villains than in Batman himself. Yeah. I think you'd have the same problem if Del Toro ever did a Batman movie. He'd be a lot more interested in the villains than Batman himself.
Right.
But I still love the film. I think it's still a very funny film. Although, I mean, like Batman kills a clown at the start of it, so it's quite like it's a lot darker than most of the Batman movies.
Right.
But it reminds me of Christmas. What about you?
It's interesting that you say, though, really quickly about him focusing on the villains more than the hero, because when I think about Batman Returns, even though Michael Keaton plays Batman, it's kind of that Dark Knight thing. I don't associate necessarily Christian Bale with Batman in the Dark Knight. You always think about Heath Ledger, you always think about the Joker. When I think of Batman Returns, I think of Michelle Pfeiffer. I agree that I think it's her best performance, and I agree with I think of Danny DeVito as the Penguin. It's
I think that's why Batman as a character stayed around so long. He has the best rogues gallery in comics.
Right, okay,
He genuinely does. I'd love to see Mr. Freeze done properly in a feature film. I think he's a real tragic character and done really well.
Are you implying he wasn't done properly in Batman and Robin?
Yes. Yes, I am. So, what would you pick?
Number 3 on my list of Christmas movies is Love Actually. I love that movie. It's Nashville at Christmas, and I love that about it.
It's a genuinely really sweet movie.
I've always just had a thing about ensemble movies. I just find them really fascinating, and I think you can actually do a lot with them. I think it's Richard Curtis's best film. And I just love it when it comes on it comes on every Christmas. It's a feel-good movie. It's a shamelessly feel-good movie. Richard Curtis said in an interview once that he gets a lot of criticism for making movies that are kind of just unabashedly upbeat and optimistic.
What's wrong with that then?
No. He said, look, people get murdered in tar blocks every day, fair enough, but people fall in love every day as well. And I think Love Actually is actually the best example of that. And I think when we look back on his career and indeed the career of a lot of directors of his era and of his ilk, I think Love Actually will stand out. Even though it's primarily for a lot of people a movie they love to watch at Christmas, it's just a phenomenal ensemble.
I'd love to see the director's cut of that. The director's cut is like an
4.5
hour
hours.
long. Yeah, and there's a lot more kind of characters and subplots that were cut out. I think Rowan Atkinson. There was a big subplot with his character.
There was a big subplot with his character, allegedly involving his character being an angel. There was like a supernatural element to it. He was going to dovetail in and out of everyone's stories, and then at the end it would be revealed.
I think that's maybe cut for good reason.
I think Richard Curtis cut it because he didn't want to introduce that element too late on. I mean, a lot of people I talk to about Love Actually say that there are some stories that don't work and there are some stories that do work. I
think Emma Thompson's story is heartbreaking, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever watch it and think, oh, this storyline. It never takes me out of it. There's never a storyline that bores me or that actually, or if it's
his
on,
use
I'll
of
kind
music,
of disconnect.
I think if you're talking about Richard Curtis, you got to talk about how he uses music.
Oh yeah.
I think he's probably one of the best British directors in terms of how they use music in pieces, like The Boat That Rocked as well.
Yeah.
And that the Dido song when he leaves.
Yeah.
Keira Knightley, which I just think is the best scene in the whole film. Is where he tells her he loves her through the placards.
It's fun to watch Love Actually as well nowadays to kind of acknowledge all of the people who were not necessarily as famous when that movie came out, who are just superstars now. I mean, Martin Freeman, Tom Sangster, who played Liam Neeson's son, is a big kind of movie star now. He's in all those Maze Runner movies.
Oh, really?
And Andrew Lincoln from Walking Dead, who's the worker in love with Keira Knightley.
Liam. This is Big Liam before Taken.
And Chiwetel Ejiofor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't he?
Yeah, he's Keira Knightley's
He's Keira Knightley's husband.
Yeah.
So I love Love Actually for all those reasons. I would put it on any Christmas, and I fully intend to watch it very soon. So that's number 3 for me. Number 2, Aidan, on your list of top 3 Christmas movies?
It would be Mr. McLean and Die Hard.
Yeah. Die Hard or Die Hard 2?
Die Hard.
Okay.
It's crispy. I love both of them, but it's Die Hard 1 I just think is just untouchable.
A lot of people try and crack that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
They're wrong.
They are wrong, because it is a Christmas movie, and it's my number 2 as well. It's my number 2 Christmas movie. Yeah. What is it about Die Hard that makes it... Because a lot of people... We all know why Die Hard's a phenomenal action movie. What makes it a great...
Ultimately, what makes it a like, for me, even more so than being set at Christmas, is ultimately it's about family. It's about a guy who has to save his family. He just happens to be a cop, and it just happens to be terrorists instead of like being late for Christmas. But I think it's genuinely, at the end, it's a bit like It's a Wonderful Life. His reunion with his family is earned, very much so.
I mean, it is kind of, a lot of those Christmas movies that we love and adore deal with that theme of overcoming obstacles, and that is where Die Hard succeeds. It just happens to be with bullets and terrorists.
It's showing at the KFT and the pop-up cinema this year, and I think I'm going to go see it, and I'm going to bring Twinkies. I don't even like Twinkies, but I think you have to.
Yeah, I don't like Twinkies either, but they're just a staple.
By the way, actually, anyone who's a Die Hard fan, you should check out. There's a music video. Why You Trying to Hurt Me, Girl? Don't you know that I'm Bruce Willis? And it's absolutely fantastic.
There was also a band called Guys Night who released a song about the entire franchise in 2007, which was wonderful. Die Hard 6, incidentally, recently announced.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Bruce, I don't think I don't have high hopes for it.
Okay.
I think it ended with 4. Live Free or Die Hard.
I thought 4 was wonderful. I really thought 4 was a wonderful movie.
I'm a big fan of 4.
Die Hard 2 also, incidentally, is set at Christmas. I think Die Hard 2, I mean, it maybe is not as high up as Batman Returns in those sequels that can surpass or match the original, but it's a very, very solid sequel. And I want Rennie Harlan to make another great action movie again.
Yeah, no, I thought he was quite good, but I just 1 and 2 are just amazing, I think.
I agree with all your points about Die Hard. I actually think that is why it succeeds as a Christmas movie, because there are themes of all those. Like the It's a Wonderful Life reference is one that I never thought of, is actually really, really interesting. Yeah. So there you go. It's my number 2 as well.
Okay, and what's your number 1?